Hi, I'm Adam Lucente. Welcome back to the Al-Monitor Brief. The end of President Bashar al-Assad's reign in Syria sent shockwaves throughout the international community. European states like France, who cut ties with Assad over the civil war, are now seeking to establish contact with the new authorities in Syria, led by former rebels. This week, French, British, and German diplomats went to Damascus for this purpose. In this episode, I am joined by Al-Monitor's Paris-based correspondent, Rina Bassist. We delve into the history of France's complex relations with Syria and what Europe is seeking to gain in the country. Hope you enjoy. Rina, welcome back to the Al-Monitor Brief.
Hello, Adam. Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, great to speak with you again about this topic. So, first, please, could you just give us an overview of France's relations with Syria under President Assad? And how did these relations change during the civil war and in recent years?
Okay, I would say that relationship between France and Syria under Assad, and I'm talking both father and son, before the civil war broke out. Now, these relations have been very complex, and I would say much more in the gray zone. If we go back to 1996, President Jacques Chirac certainly played the normalization card with Syria. He visited Damascus that year. We also saw that 2 years later, Hafez al-Assad and his son Bashar al-Assad, both of them visited each one separately Paris. So for France, while the Lebanese portfolio always, I would say, Adam, took precedence, Syria benefited over the years from a sort of, we would say in French, laissez-faire attitude. Now, this French-Syria honeymoon came to a halt in 2005 after the assassination in Beirut of Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik Hariri, who was a very close friend of Chirac. Rumors at the time said that Bashar al-Assad in person approved this assassination. Still 2 years later, we see President Nicolas Sarkozy. He decides to renew relations with the Assad clan. And we could even say that he rolled out the red carpet for Bashar al-Assad. The French media, for its part, adored this modern couple, the elegant Assad and her husband, the young president. Having said that, this close relationship with the Assad regime finally broke down at the start of the Arab Spring when the French ambassador in Damascus, Éric Chevalier, attended a demonstration in Hama. It was in 2011 at the start of the revolution. And relations between the two countries were severed in 2012. The French embassy in Damascus was closed at the time up until this week.
So now, getting to what's happened this week, what do you think were the main reasons that France decided to reopen the embassy after Assad's fall?
Yeah, I think that Jean-François Guillaume, the French special envoy to Syria, he's based in Beirut otherwise, he said it very clearly on Tuesday when he arrived to Damascus. And he said that France is preparing to stand by the Syrians over the long term. And I think that, like so many in Syria, of course, Paris has been waiting a very long time for this moment, the moment of the fall of Assad. And now that this regime has collapsed, we see France, together with the international community, of course, taking responsibility, helping the Syrian people build up their country, which was, of course, devastated for so many years. Now, Adam, we must not forget that all these recent developments took place immediately after the deal that was reached between Israel and Hezbollah, a deal which should see the calming down of tensions in the south of Lebanon. Now, France had played a very important role in reaching that agreement. So, of course, the rehabilitation of Syria is also part of these aspirations to bring calm, to bring security to the whole region. I would also say that as an Israeli journalist, I don't think that I need to explain to you or to the people listening how the fate of these three countries, Israel, Lebanon, and Syria, is intertwined. And this is something that France obviously bears in mind.
Today's transformation of the Middle East is at the center of global geopolitics. Whether you're an analyst, diplomat, executive, or academic, You need the best reporting and analysis to understand what's really happening on the ground and what it means for the world. Al Monitor is the award-winning independent leader in Middle East news. From Riyadh to Beirut, Abu Dhabi to Doha, and Baghdad to Tehran, our team of over 100 expert journalists report daily on the top stories driving the regional trends. Download our mobile app and subscribe to Al Monitor to follow what leaders and decision makers are reading every day. Go to almonitor.com, that's AL-MONITOR.com to learn more.
Okay, we're back with Rina Bassist. Rina, in recent days, we've seen not only French, but also German and British officials head to Damascus. Why do you think some of these other European countries are going along with France in sending diplomats to Syria at this time?
Yes, I would say that what we are seeing is a general movement. I mean, the Americans were the first to say that they have established contacts with the representatives of the new regime and talking to Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, and everyone in Europe is following that movement. And I would say that it is also very clear to everyone, I think, that these are very crucial times for Syria. And the free world is now engaged supporting the Syrians in shaping their future. For the Europeans, supporting the Syrian people, supporting the Syrian civil society, that did not stop when the EU severed its ties with the Assad regime in 2011. In fact, for the past 10 years, we had the annual Syria Support Conference, which took place in Brussels every year, bringing together Syrian civil society, NGOs operating on the ground, all sorts of stakeholders, meeting with European diplomats, meeting with European decision makers. And in parallel, there is also a very strong feeling in Europe that time is of essence. So I think we will see quite quickly the opening not only of a French embassy in Damascus, but several other European embassies in the city.
And the last question is, how are European countries approaching the issue of HTS and their, crucial role in Syria right now, given that they are designated as a terrorist organization by many countries?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Had you asked me that 10 days ago, I would have said that the Europeans have a real problem here. Now, when I spoke with the European diplomats at the beginning of the uprising, it was clear they found themselves in an uncomfortable situation. After all, Europe cannot decide for the Syrians who will rule them, even though the HTS may not be the first choice of the Europeans or of the international community. We are now in a situation where a blacklisted terrorist group has established an interim government in Damascus, and the spokespersons of this new regime insist that the group has changed its ways. Now, on the legal level, the European Union will not remove HTS from the blacklisting before the United Nations takes that step. The thing is that realpolitik says differently. And surprisingly, perhaps, realpolitik is having the upper hand here. There is currently, I would say, an understanding in Europe that action is needed now. And there is a willingness in Europe to encourage the HTS, if indeed it is sincere in distancing itself from terrorism and from Al-Qaeda. There is a willingness in Europe to a certain degree to look away on that issue of the blacklisting and try to work with this new regime.
Okay, Rina, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to more of your reporting on this issue.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, that's the end of our episode. Thanks for listening. Follow El Monitor for more on this issue and other stories impacting the Middle East.